Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Behind the Bars TV. Now, this isn't just news that people will not know about. This has been all over the news since it happened, and yesterday morning I was first notified of quite a few different people who were sending me clippings of the newspaper articles about this horrible man, Irfan Sharif, who was attacked inside of HMP Belmarsh. Now, everyone will remember a couple of weeks ago when I covered this story, when I'd done the story about what actually happened to poor little Sara Sharif. Absolutely despicable crime and murder, what happened by her father, Irfan Sharif, and the stepmother, who was a horrible piece of work as well. She was called Belmarsh Batul, 30-year-old. Now, for the ones who haven't heard of this, now I'm sure everyone has, that is poor little Sara Sharif there, who was murdered in the most brutal way by that despicable beast who was supposed to be a loving father. Now, there's lots of flaws to this case, which we will talk about in a bit, which should have been picked up by the services before any of this even happened. But I will interact with the subscribers after I finish with this story, so do bear with us, people. But I'll tell you a little bit about the story before I get into the attack, which happened in HMP Belmarsh. Now, that is the beast there. Irfan Sharif doesn't even deserve to be called father. So the sadistic fathered stepmother of 10-year-old Sara Sharif was jailed a couple of weeks ago. He received life with a minimum of 40 years, and she received life with a minimum of 33 years. And Sarah's uncle, Faisal Malik, 29, was sentenced to 16 years imprisonment for causing or allowing her death. Now, it's an absolute travesty how there was that many people in that house, and this was going on for a long time before she was even murdered. She was even going to school covered in bruises, covered in different marks. They ended up taking her out of school. I'll just cut back on a second. So they ended up taking her out of school so that they can keep on doing what they were doing to her, because the school were getting notified, or the social services were getting notified, because she was turning up with injuries on her face and her body that just shouldn't have been there, unless she was getting abused at home and beaten up, which she was. So they then sent her to school with a headscarf, which they call a hijab, to cover up all of her marks and injuries. Then they went and took her out of school and homeschooled her, and not long afterwards, she was actually murdered in the most brutal way. Now, there was over 70 different injuries about her body, 6 different fractures on her spine by that spineless rat of a father, what had actually happened. Now, I'll just put that back on a second while I tell a little bit more about the case. But like I say, a lot of you would have heard exactly what happened with this, but I will go over a few more details of the case. So the trial heard how a post-mortem examination found Sara had suffered injuries, including 6 probable human bite marks, an iron burn, and scalding from hot water before she died on the 8th of August last year, 2023. So next to Sara's body, which was found by police in a bunk bed, was a note in her father's handwriting which read, "Whoever sees this note, it's me, Irfan Sharif, who killed my daughter by beating." Sharif initially claimed that Batul was responsible for Sara's death and told the jury he had made a false confession. However, in a dramatic U-turn under cross-examination, Sharif later accepted full responsibility for his daughter's death. Sara had more than 70 new external injuries when her body was found by police, including 11 fractures to her spine and signs of a traumatic brain injury. Sharif, Batul and Malik fled to Islamabad, Pakistan with Sara's 5 siblings on the 9th of August 2023. the day before her body was found. The family spent weeks in hiding as police hunted for them, at times hiding in cornfields to evade detection. Obviously, when they became being brought back, they were arrested. But during the trial, Sharif claimed he had come home on the evening of 8th of August 2023 to find his wife sitting on the floor in the couple's bedroom holding Sara. Given evidence, he said Batul told him the girl had fallen down the stairs while playing with another child and that she was being dramatic. Sharif's reaction was to whack Sara in the stomach twice with a pole for pretending, jurors heard. He previously said he also gave his daughter CPR for 10 minutes. Now, I'll not go on to any more deals because I'm sure, like I've just said, the majority of you will know about this case. Now, for that little girl to have went through all that, it was only a matter of time before he was going to be attacked inside of prison. That's what I'd done on the last video, what I'd done on little Sara Sharif. Just put her up on the screen again there. That's 10-year-old Sara Sharif, pure little innocent girl, beautiful little lass. How anybody, even our own father, flesh and blood, could do such despicable things to her like that. Now, the stepmother, it was her who was doing the bite marks because when they're done dental impressions, it wasn't from the father, Irfan, it was from her. What a despicable piece of shit. But there was a cricket bat found with blood all over it. 6 fractures to her spine. Imagine the pain that would be for a grown man. Imagine that happened to one of us. We accidentally hurt ourselves or something happened and we had that many fractures in your spine. Imagine the pain that would be. And they put that poor little lass through that pain. Absolutely despicable. So when he's been in Belmarsh, he's only been sentenced 2 weeks ago. Now, this must have been on the bacon wings, the non-swings, the VP wings. But just because they get put on the VP wings does not mean that they will not be attacked. Normally, these cases are always bacon on nonce on nonce. And that is what must have happened in this case when they've been on the VP wings, unless he was on the unit for serving such a long time. He's doing a 40-year life sentence. But there's been 2 inmates who have went in with a jagged tuna tin. So obviously in prison you get cans of tuna, and a lot of the lads inside, they open the cans themselves, and when they rip it off, the end of the can, as you can imagine, is jagged. So that's what they've used to slice his throat with. Left with significant scar and obviously being took to hospital. They've managed to save his life. But just as well, they've saved his life so he can go back and face some more prison justice and see what it's like to be beaten and then put back in the same home environment, because that is his home now. And that is what he's going to be living amongst. And he's now getting his own treatment, seeing what it's like in your own home, getting abused by people. Well, the prisoners aren't supposed to love him. They'll be giving him plenty of prison justice loving. But they've rushed in the pod and they've sliced him with a tuna tin. So, like everyone has said, just about every single person I've spoken to about this has said he deserved it. Now, all of you who's watching this now will probably think exactly the same. There's not many people, especially who watch my channel, will say he didn't deserve it. He deserved exactly what he got inside of prison justice at its finest. Now, especially with a jagged tuna tin lid or can, it's got to have hurt. Right, now I'll get on to the comments. People I'll do a bit interacting with the subscribers, see what you all think. So, Tin Peel, my old Scottish pal, how you doing? I hope the tuna tin is okay. I hope it didn't get too much contamination into his tuna. So we'll go on to the next one. Steve-O, sorry. I was going to say a fairy there. Sorry, Steve-O. Steve-O says, I sussed out the root of all this problematic system we see every day. John Fothergill, big up to the Belmarsh boys. Respect, like I say. I've been trying to find out, but I haven't heard just yet where it actually happened. So if anyone who was watching this does know, and you have heard, let us know, because like I say, I'm assuming it's happened on the VP wings, but a lot of lads on the VP wings are ones that have got trouble with lads on the other wings on the normal location, or they've ran up drug debts or whatever, and they're now sitting on the VP wings. So I'd imagine it's been one of them. Can attacks on prisoners help them to get released early? Not, well, no. The answer is no, especially not the ones like him who was serving a life sentence. Just because you get attacked in prison doesn't mean that you're going to be released any earlier. Speaking of the most hated, is that Huntley sicko in segregation? Not that I know of. There is a few people being asking us saying, has he been attacked again? But I haven't heard anything as of yet. And like I say, I do get a lot of, or I hear a lot of stories coming from inside of Franklin prison, with it being close by. But no one's mentioned anything to me yet. Ross Saab. Yes, Steve, but here's why. It's parental abandonment and not knowing right from wrong. The state acts as the parent. Right, I'll just go back on. So JPF says he got sliced up. Oh dear, how sad. Never mind. And that's the sentiment from across the UK, across everywhere. It's not just people who've been to prison who think the same. The ordinary folk sitting at home who know about this case and know what happened to that poor little lass. Anything that happens to kids is immediately met with this sort of response. They will be attacked in prison, and the general public have no sympathy for them whatsoever. So Big Dazza says that means everyone else will be going without tuna. Well, this has happened a lot of times. That microphone keeps popping up. That's why I keep pushing it back down. But this has happened a lot of times over the years. It's not a random thing with the tuna tin lids, the tuna cans. It's happened over the years. There's a range of different things they've used. Tuna cans have been used to put in pillowcases and whack people about inside as well. So I don't think they'll be doing away with the tuna cans just yet. So Adam, I bought a book of your mate. If you remember me messaging you anyway, same sort of past as you, mate. I start my detox tomorrow. You're an inspiration. Nice one, Adam. I'm not sure if you'll have received the book yet, obviously, with the holidays. It was sent out straight away from the book shop when you ordered it. But I'm not sure if it'll have reached it yet with the holidays. But it will be there within your next week, and hopefully it will help you massively. Good luck with your detox, pal. The first steps. You've took the first step, so keep at it, and you will achieve your goal. So Richard Ward says, it's terrible what happened to that poor girl. The crime is we have to pay for that creature to be in prison. And I thought Huntley was being used by Belfield as a willy warmer. Right, so exactly what you're saying there. For the next 40 years, there's another monster, what the taxpayer is going to have to pay for. And it does cost around about 60 to 70,000 pounds. Or is it? Oh, no, I can't remember what it is now. It's a massive amount. It's something like 50 to 70 grand a year, depending on whether they've got to be kept like him in what you call it, in VP, because obviously some of the ones that need extra protection, even on the VP wings, cost the fucking taxpayer even more money. But Richard says, I thought Huntley was being used by Belfield. Yes, that's what's happening with that beast, or them two beasties inside of there. But someone did say that he's been attacked again or had his eyes gouged out, but I've not heard nothing about that yet. But I will keep you updated what's going on with these beasties. So Wayne Scott says prison justice is rough justice, and the father of Sara, the cherub, will get his meted out harshly. Like I've said, throughout his time, all of these bacons and these beasties get what they deserve inside of prison, because a lot of people think that a prison sentence isn't enough for these that kill little ones and some of the things they do to them before they've actually murdered them, but they will be suffering for the rest of their lives, looking over their shoulders inside of prison, wondering when the next time they will be attacked. So Ross goes on to say, he's answered that question. He's put, it's about 60K to hold someone for a year, 72K US dollars. So 60,000 a year to hold prisoners, times by 40 years. What a waste of money on a creature that doesn't deserve a fucking penny. He deserves to rot in a dungeon, left with nothing, like he did with his poor defenseless daughter. Now, I have done another story on another attack, what's happened inside of HMP Watton, but I will release that one probably tomorrow. That is another two bacons, but I'll not spoil it. I was going to put it on here, but I didn't want to integrate two stories into one. So that one is kept for another day. I didn't want to spoil you with too much bacon bashing. But I've just done a podcast there as well with a lad called Zach from Wales. And I will be uploading that one probably for Monday night. So keep an eye out for the prison podcast on Monday night. Zach Griffin, talking about Park Prison and his time in this Welsh prison system and what it was like for him growing up in Wales and how he ended up in the system. Because I am doing more podcast guests. So if you are an ex-prisoner watching this or someone with a story of adversity and coming out of the other end, give me a shout and I will get you on. I have got a few lined up. I will get round to them. And the ones that are sending us messages, bear with us. I will get back to you. But as you can imagine, I'm getting hundreds of messages every week and it is hard to keep up with them and get and reply back to everyone. But as you can see there, my subscriber count is nearly at 81,000. It's flying up. The views are massive on me on a lot of my videos now. So I'm really pleased with that. Hopefully I'll hit that 100,000 mark by the end of this year. That's my aim for this year. Hit the 100,000 subscriber mark. So anyone else, any more questions, give us a shout. I will have a look on here whilst I'm on the prison news. Because like I've told you all before, I've got an app on here what gives you updates on what's happening inside the prisons. So I'll just read this one out here. And where's it at? So this story that's just popped up now. 2 seconds while I get a shot of this one. And it is of Lucy Letby. 2 seconds while I get this media back up. Bear with us, people. So there's one just popped up there about Lucy Letby, about her first birthday inside. I mean, it's not worth wasting time on people like this, but the story's just popped up, so I will do it. But to be honest with you, as we are now talking about Lucy Letby, or as I'm now talking about her, I did watch a program more recently about Lucy Letby. I'm not sure exactly what channel it was. It was either 4 or 5. And some of the evidence that is coming to light now, when you watch that documentary, it actually puts doubt in your mind. If you haven't seen it, type in Google Lucy Letby most recent documentary, and some of the professors and scientists and doctors that are coming forward now with evidence supporting the fact that she didn't actually do it is actually quite astounding. Oh, 2 seconds while I take this comment off. Right. So the article that has just popped up goes on to say inside Lucy Letby's first birthday in prison as baby killer told to watch her back. So killer Lucy Letby is experiencing her first birthday behind bars today, Saturday, January the 4th, after she was found guilty of killing babies. Any birthday cards the former nurse receives will be sniffed by specially trained dogs, an ex-prison officer has said. Letby was convicted of murdering 7 and trying to kill 7 more between 2015 and 16. She was handed her 15th whole life term in July for attempting to murder another. I can't see it because it will flag up as much as it shouldn't do. When you go into detail and start talking about what I'm actually going on about here, it will flag up, and I don't want that to happen with my videos. Meaning she will spend the rest of her time behind bars. The murderer turns 35 today and is believed she will spend her birthday at HMP Bronzefield in Surrey. She will have to watch her back, says retired prison governor Vanessa Frake, who spent 27 years in the service, often dealing with notorious and celebrity criminals. The long and the short of it is that her birthday will be like any other in prison. She will not be allowed birthday presents or a cake, candles, etc. Obviously not. So it will be like any other day in jail for Letby. Nothing takes place. It's just another day in prison. She will be allowed cards sent in, but they will be censored, and the drug dog will be sent to sniff out any drugs in the mail. So that is another one of the stories that has popped up, and I just thought I would drop that in and see what people's comments are on that. Right. So Stephen Ferry says total psychopath B, which she is. But like I say, when you watch that documentary, it is a massive eye-opener. Some of the, as Stuart is saying here, she is innocent. Now, this will cause massive debate on here, which it has done previously when I've done a video on, because people are torn between it. There's people coming on saying she is, and some saying she isn't. It's a very controversial subject. But anybody who hasn't seen that documentary, go on, type it in Google and have a look. It will actually change your opinion. And my thoughts on it, when I watch it, I thought she definitely needs a retrial with more of these professors, scientists, and doctors coming forward. And that's just my opinion when you watch that. I mean, a lot of people will come on here and spout shit without even going and watching it. When you have a look into it properly, she didn't even have a proper defense. No one wanted to defend her. No one professionally. No one from inside the hospitals or whatever. There was no specialist KCs, King's Council rather. There was none of that because no one wanted to be the one that represented her to get all of the backlash. So just thought I would bring that up at the end just to let people have a know. But I will put this one on because have a look at this Muppet. MR, he says, get a real job. You obviously just jumped on here. You haven't got a fucking clue with your trolling. This is something I do in my spare time. I own my own business, more than what you've probably got, MR. You're probably on the dole. You probably come on here just to spout shite about people. But I just thought I would give you a little bit of a notoriety by putting your fake initials up, MR. Your absolute weapon. So Kevin Osborne says, come on, every death she was there. Believe it or not, if you have a look into it, even when she left, there was even more. When she left her job, when she got put somewhere else, there was actually more deaths happening on the wards. So, and some of them shifts that it was happening on, she wasn't even. I'll tell you what, have a look into it yourself because it is quite complicated. It's hard trying to talk about the details of it, but like I say, it's quite controversial and it does change your opinion on a few things. So Kenny says, saw your last vid, mate. Cheers. My last video was about a little bit of a motivation talk, which the title of it was, what was it again? It was Life Without Alcohol and Sniff. So I know it's that time of year when people's been partying over Christmas and over the New Year. Heads are mashed right up. A lot of people are feeling really low and down in the dumps. Probably like Mr. MR who's commenting on there. He's probably be feeling really low on himself and he wants to come on and spout a little bit of shite. But on a serious note, people will be feeling like doing away with themselves, really down in the dumps after getting smashed over the festive season. But there's only one way up when you're feeling like that. But go and have a look at my last video, and it does tell you of how to get on with your life, put all the negative shit behind you, and just get on with your life. Live your life without alcohol and sniff, because it is the devil's dandruff, and the drink is pure poison. It's been 21 weeks since I've had a drink. So, Killshot says, Ricky, how's life going since your IPP is not hanging on you? You're free of all probation and shit. Yes, so I've got no IPP, no license, no probation. It's like a massive weight has been lifted off me neck or from me back. I'm now progressing even further. I'm not worrying all the time about going back to prison. I'm not feeling anxious about going for probation appointments. And my mental health is actually benefiting. And that's another reason why I'm not drinking. I'm not on license. Drink is just going to bring you back to square one, which I've got no room for that shit in my life because I'm moving forward. And without that IPP hanging around my neck, I'm enjoying every single moment. No risk of recall or anything. It's an absolute blessing. Got it when I was 20-year-old. I went into prison. I've just had it terminated. So for nearly 20 years, I've suffered with the IPP and I've no longer got it. So we'll drink water to that. Right, people, I'm going to wrap this up now. So a couple of more minutes. Gaz Max says, you look so much better without the face tattoo. So Gaz has been with us for a while on my channel and you can't really see now. Can't hardly see at all there. I had a little teardrop tattoo on my face. I've had it lasered about 7 times to get rid of it because that was another thing when I was in a fucking messed up state of mind. Yeah, a teardrop tattoo represents prison. It means you've been to prison, but I didn't get it for that reason. I got it for a different reason here because of my friend who done away with himself. I was in a fucked up state of mind. That was my reasoning getting behind getting that tattoo. But it's now gone. That part of my life has been wiped, gone in the past. So Sophia Pond says, I am impressed with your life. Thank you very much. And like I say, I'm coming on here talking about my life and being open and honest, transparent. Everyone's getting inspiration from it. If you have a look on this channel, 99.9% of everything, the comments, the whole lot is all positive. Hardly ever get you get the odd one or two now and again, but you expect that on these type of channels, a little bit of trolling, but 99.9% of the time, this channel is fucking flying, all positive. Obviously, people could say it's positive as well, in a positive light, talking about the bacon's getting bashed, because any ordinary person out here looks at that as a positive, a bacon getting bashed and getting a bit of prison justice. So Silver Fox says, Ricky, I gave up alcohol during lockdown. I think the pressure of work made me wanting the odd glass of wine every night. But well done for giving it up, especially during COVID, during lockdown, because that would have been one of the hardest times when everyone was locked down and it was boredom, because I was locked up during COVID, so I wasn't getting up to that. But I have heard out here, everyone was getting smashed nearly every day, making the most of being banged up in the house. So Kenny says bacon bashing is allowed, absolutely. Zombie Boy, I think you're a legitimately nice man. Love listening to your stories and the way you say bacon is class. Why, aye, get the bacons done. Yeah, New Year, mate, from Dublin. Nice one, Zombie Boy. What was Scott now? I found a new hobby during lockdown. So Killshot says, Ricky, there's a few boys on YouTube trying to get off the streets and do something with themselves. Would your gym sponsor any of them boys? Drop us an email, mate. Let us know a bit more about what you're on about. Maybe we can see what we can do together. But, people, I'm going to leave that one there for now, because I've been up here in my podcast room for 2.5 hours now. I've done a couple of videos. I've done a podcast, which I will be dropping Monday night. I will be doing another video on a bacon getting bashed tomorrow night. I'll be dropping that one. So, people, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Watch what you're doing. Don't have too much of that and don't have too much of that. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of